The story of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow reminds us that Christmas represents hope. Life isn't always ideal, no matter how much we long for it to be during this season. But if we're receptive to moments of encouragement and looking for moments of gratitude, we'll remember that God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. Here's Pastor Josh Schaefer with more on today's Central Moment.
Hello and welcome to today's Central Moment. Today we're going to be looking at a familiar Christmas carol and kind of the backstory of how that was written and came to be. I'm reading here, and by the mid-1800s, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was a household name, and his poems like The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere and The Song of Hiawatha were memorized and quoted all over America. But in 1863, it had been many years since he had written an original verse. Longfellow was weary after years of hardship. His beloved wife had died in a tragic fire, causing him to fall into a deep depression. That Christmas, he wrote in his journal, "How inexpressibly sad are all holidays." A few years later, despite his deep conviction against violence, his oldest son, Charlie, left this note in their house after stealing away to join the Union Army. "I have tried to resist the temptation of going without your leave, but I cannot any longer." Less than a year later, on December 1st, 1863, Longfellow received a telegram that every parent during wartime dreaded. Charlie had been injured in a skirmish with Confederate troops and was currently in a Virginia hospital. Knowing the poor conditions at the battlefront medical stations, Longfellow immediately left his Boston home to search for his son. After arriving, he spent 3 days searching the incoming wounded arriving at the train station, passing up and down the line of bleeding, bandaged men stacked on pallets in boxcars, until he finally saw that familiar face, Charlie, his prodigal son, alive but barely breathing. After being rushed to a medical care facility and being stabilized, Charlie was eventually allowed to return home to Boston. On that Christmas day, with his son still shivering with fever, possibly never to recover, Longfellow struggled with the terrible reality of the war that had torn this country apart, and he began to write this poem. With each line, he built a picture of darkness, yet in the midst of it, hope. Here's what it says. "I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and mild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And thought how, as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Till ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from night to day, a voice, a chime, a chant sublime of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair, I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said. For hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men." And just like in the times of Longfellow, we also may struggle to find peace and goodwill in our world today. Whether that be in our world at large, or in our individual sufferings and struggles that we have. But this is a key to the Christian faith, right? That even with hate and darkness seeming to prevail and God's presumable silence, we need to keep our eyes and ears peeled to listen for those gentle encouragements, the bells that ring with the reminder, God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. We can trust and know that God is at work, even when we may not see it. So I want to leave you this morning, or today rather, with a few scriptures coming from the Bible. Here from Romans chapter 12, verse 12, it says, "Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer." Hebrews 11, verse 1, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." And then Romans 15, verse 13, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." And that is my prayer for you this holiday season, that you'll be filled with joy and peace as you trust in God, even in times of extreme difficulty or hardship, and that hope will overflow in you by the power of the Holy Spirit. Merry Christmas.